updates on election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed
and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit wordradio.com. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Independent Black Media.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests, listeners, and hosts of any program on WURD Radio do not necessarily reflect those of ownership, management, or advertisers of this station.
Out the bed, start to move your balls. Wake up, WURD and Solomon Jones. WURD.
You better wake up now.
You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed, start to move your balls. Wake up, WURD and Solomon Jones.
You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with WURD. It is, of course, a rainy Friday. Hopefully you're staying dry today. Just enjoying this fall weather. It's the day before Halloween, and it seemed like we've been in Halloween for, I don't know, maybe the last 4 years or so, but it is absolutely crazy what we are experiencing, but you know what? This too shall pass. I know one thing that doesn't change is this. Racists always got some other excuse for why they do the things they do. We didn't pass you over for promotion because you're black. It's because you just weren't right for the position. We didn't stop and frisk you because you're black. You just looked out of place in that neighborhood. And now Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who demanded that his players toe the line during the national anthem, has come up with an excuse to cut the only player on his team who knelt during the anthem this year. Dontari Poe, former Pro Bowl defensive tackle, was cut by the Cowboys this week, with the Cowboys owner claiming it's because Poe's weight and his performance just weren't up to par. Well, guess what? If that's the case, he should have cut the whole team because the Cowboys are terrible. But no, he cut Poe because Poe knelt for the national anthem to protest racism. And Jones, just like Donald Trump, thinks he can control what black men think and feel, and that he has the right to tell us how to protest. Well, guess what? As an Eagles fan, I've always hated the Cowboys, and now, as the Eagles prepare to play them this Sunday, I have reason to despise the Cowboys even more. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with WURD. Grammy Award-winning artist will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas joins us to talk about the importance of voting. Linda Garcia of the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights on Philadelphia City Council passing a ban on tear gas and rubber bullets. Plus, Akbar Hassan has your money advice. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065, a toll-free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with WURD. Story number one, what in the world is going on with brothers in hip-hop? First, Ice Cube allowed himself to be used by the Trump campaign when they announced that he had worked with them. Then 50 Cent said he supported Trump because his taxes would go up under Biden. Now Lil Wayne has put out a full endorsement of Trump. The rapper says he had a great meeting Thursday with Trump and shared a photo of them smiling together with thumbs up. He says he's endorsing Trump based on his track record on criminal justice reform, and he's excited about Trump's platinum plan. Wayne believes it will, quote, give the community real ownership. As we've told you, Ice Cube worked with Trump's team on the plan, according to TMZ, which vows to pump $500 billion into black communities and provide better access to equitable education and jobs. That's what he says he's going to do. But you know what? You had 4 years to do that. Did you do it? No. So I'm trying to figure this out, right? Maybe it's just that these cats are getting older. You know, maybe they still want to be relevant. I really don't know. Ice Cube, you know, he's he's around my age, right? He's 51. 50 Cent is actually 45. Lil Wayne is about 38. So if they're really trying to use these guys to get young people, I don't know what they're trying to do. But, you know, why are y'all doing this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out, why are y'all doing this? Is it because of your personal pockets? You got more money, you know that you should be paying more taxes, and that Biden's probably going to make you do that. You know, is it that? Is it that you just selling us out? I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with brothers in hip-hop. Those in my generation, you know the pain that I'm feeling. We invented hip-hop. So I'm trying to figure out what these cats are doing. How do we get from Public Enemy and Fight the Power to Ice Cube saying, I sat down with Trump? How do we get from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and the Message to a message coming from Lil Wayne to vote for Donald Trump? I'm trying to understand how we get from the classics of hip-hop, your head for self-destruction, to 50 Cent talk about my taxes gonna go up, I vote for Donald Trump. What? How do we get from the consciousness of this genre, a genre that is going all around the world and fueled protests for all kinds of people in all kinds of languages in all kinds of circumstances? How do you go from that to this? Maybe y'all can help me. And that brings me to story number 2. 2 grand jurors who heard the Kentucky Attorney General's office presentation on the Breonna Taylor case say prosecutors were dismissive of their questions, and that there was an uproar when jurors realized that Louisville police officers wouldn't be charged with Taylor's death. The grand jurors, who are choosing to remain anonymous, citing security concerns, spoke to journalists by phone Wednesday evening, along with their attorney, Clevin Glogauer, and community activist Christopher 2X. They spoke about how their service on the Taylor case was unlike dozens of other cases they heard throughout their month of service. Was justice done? No. I feel there's quite a bit more that could have been done or should have been done, presented to us for us to deliberate on, said grand juror number 1, a white male. That's what he told reporters on the call. Jefferson County Circuit Judge Amy O'Connell earlier this month allowed grand jurors to speak about their service after grand juror 1 filed court documents suggesting public comments by Kentucky Attorney General Daniel Cameron about the proceedings were misleading. Check this out. 6 possible homicide charges under Kentucky law weren't even considered against the Louisville Metro Police Department officers who fired their weapons in Taylor's apartment because they were, quote, justified in the return of deadly fire after being shot at once by Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. Cameron said in a news conference last month. The grand jury agreed with that decision, he said, but grand juror number 1 said, nah, that's inaccurate. And so we have not heard the last of the Breonna Taylor case, and we will see what happens with that. Which brings me to story number 3, my commentary for the day. I don't know how I would feel if the police killed my son after I called 911 seeking help. I don't know if the grief would overshadow the anger, but I do know that it would be hard for me to see anything beyond my hurt. Now, we've all been following the story of Walter Wallace Jr., the 27-year-old man who was killed by police after his family called for help. Wallace was experiencing a mental health crisis and had a knife in his hand while walking toward police when 2 officers fired 14 shots, killing him. The scene was captured on video, and it was heartbreaking because Wallace's mother was there the entire time, begging police not to shoot her son, then watching as one of the officers said, shoot him, and the other officer, along with him, opened fire. She watched as his life ebbed out of his body, and that's what makes what I heard yesterday so surprising and so deep. The family of Walter Wallace Jr. in a press conference said they're not calling for the officers who fatally shot him to be charged with murder, according to family attorney Shaka Johnson. And here's why, Johnson said. They were improperly trained and did not have the proper equipment by which to effectuate their job. This after the family viewed body camera footage of the moments leading up to Wallace's death, which Johnson said shows him in an obvious mental health crisis And that's what I believe we have to focus on. Walter Wallace was a man in crisis. His family called for help, and their loved one was killed. Somebody's got to pay a price for that. But whatever happens, this family has taught us that in order to heal our community, we have to be able to see beyond ourselves. Their grace in their grief can teach us something. Let's hope it's a lesson we can learn. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. A number of facts coming out after the family got to view the body cam footage from those two officers. One of the officers said, shoot him, and that's when the two officers opened fire, shooting at least 14 times at Walter Wallace. The other thing that we're learning from the Inquirer's reporting overnight is that on the 911 call, apparently the dispatcher said to these two officers that there was a 27-year-old male assaulting an elderly male and an elderly female at that house. Right? Some people have alluded to that on social media. Some people have talked about it on YouTube. That is what the Inquirer is reporting was said in the 911 call, that there was a 27-year-old male at the house who was assaulting an elderly male and an elderly female. The dispatch recordings included no mention of Wallace's mental health history or the two times police had already responded to disturbances at the same address that day. So that's new information. It's also new information from the body cam footage that one of the officers signaled to the other, shoot him, and that's when they opened fire, shooting at least 14 bullets at Walter Wallace. I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. So the other new piece of information that came out from the lawyer yesterday is that the family is not seeking murder charges against those police officers. That, of course, is up to DA Larry Krasner. That is at his discretion to decide how that goes and what they're charged with, if anything. I want to know what you think about that as well. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can also hit us on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. And let us know where you are in these various things we are talking about on this morning show. So, as I said, what we heard from the Inquirer about the 911 call has been alluded to on social media, that he was acting in a violent way toward his parents or toward an elderly male and an elderly female at that house, and that's why the police were called. We don't know. We have reached out to the family and are waiting to hear back from them. And so when we do want to hear what they have to say about all of this. But according to the 911 call, the 911 call says there was a 27-year-old male at the house assaulting an elderly male and an elderly female, and that's why the police were called. I want to know what you think. The other thing that I think is kind of disturbing about this, and we don't know over what shifts, the police had been called to that house earlier. Was it during a different shift? Was it, were supervisors made aware on the following shift of what was going on at that house? We don't know that, but that does not seem to be the case. And so to have the third call go out to that house that day and not have it mentioned that use caution, police had been there a little bit earlier, I think is troubling. It's disturbing. And and it speaks to a need for better communication, right? But if you have the people there yelling out that he is mental, he's going through a mental health crisis, that you know, please don't shoot him. If you have the mother there, if you have other people who are there, and the other piece of information that we have is that you know, other folks had to jump out of the way. That other folks could have been in the line of fire, including his pregnant wife. So I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Malik from Mount Airy is on line one. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning, Word family. One thing I have to say is, Solomon, you got to give up the tapes on these shirts, brother. You got to give up the tapes. But all this with the brother Wallace, it's saddening, man, because you can clearly see this brother's going through some mental health issues on this video. You can clearly hear not just the mother, but it's other people saying, "Don't shoot, don't shoot, don't shoot." And my thing is, it's three that, to my understanding, police officers get a briefing every single day. Every single day. You telling me the dispatcher didn't say to them, "Hey, you know, it's somebody that lives in that area that has some mental issues." You telling me that the shift before or the shift after, or whoever came, if it was 3 calls, hopefully it wasn't in that 8-hour period, but if it was over 10 hours, somebody should have said, "Hey, listen, it's a kid over there that got some mental health issues. Be careful. He need to be 302. He doesn't need to be, you know, shot." Nobody. My thing is, and it's literally no accountability. And I listen. I pray for the family. I do. It takes a power higher than I can even understand for them to say, you know what, these cops don't need to be put in jail. They need more training. That's awesome. I think what they're doing. Listen, if they're listening, you are awesome. But that being said, somebody got to take a moment of pause and say, hey, listen, this dude ain't really no threat to us. We got batons. They still had batons. They had other non-lethal ways to resolve this. One person stepped to the side and tackled this guy, put him to the ground. You didn't have to literally put 14 shots down range and kill this guy right in front of his family and his wife. It's just you gotta use common sense, and the person has to matter. He can't just be a target. That being said, I thank y'all. Have a great day.
All right, thanks for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Some of you know I've been a police dispatcher. I did that for a couple of years, and the way that you know, the call is relayed, you know, you get a call taker who takes the call from the person who's calling the police. The call taker then writes up some notes, sends it to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher then dispatches the call to the police on the street. So you've got a couple of people communicating. But I guess my question regarding this particular call, and again, I don't know, you know, all the details on it, is was there some communication between shifts about what had been happening at that house throughout that day? And if there wasn't, why wasn't there communication between shifts about what was happening at that house that day? Right? Whether it was on the district level, you know, from the sergeant or the lieutenant who was running that particular shift, you know, was there communication between the supervisors? Like, look, you know, keep an eye on this address. We've already been there twice today. Was there some communication in the radio room? Keep an eye on this particular address and let a supervisor know if there's another call there, because we've already been there twice today. If there was no communication in the radio room or at the district level about what was happening in that house, the question for me, the natural question is why? Why wasn't there any communication about what was happening at that house? That is the responsibility of the police, to communicate with each other about what's going on in the street, in their district, at particular addresses, from one shift to another. Why didn't that happen? That's the question for me. And I look forward to talking to the family. We have certainly reached out several times, and we hope that that will happen, because I think that they can shed some light on what was happening on that block, and why they've come to the decision to say don't charge them with murder. Now, they didn't say don't charge them with anything. Let's not get that twisted. They said we would not like to see them charged with murder because they believe that the city is responsible for not providing them with the equipment that they should have had to be able to deal with a case like that. I want to know what you think. We're going to talk to you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA votes today. Paid for by AARP.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Keeping you informed. As a community service, WURD Radio and the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium wants to keep you informed about where you can get no-cost, barrier-free COVID-19 testing this week. Tuesday, October 27th from 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Northeast Baptist Church, 4744 Tackawanna Street. Thursday, October 29th from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. at Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church East, 2800 West Cheltenham Avenue. And Saturday, October 31st from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m. at Hartranft Playground Alliance, 800 West Cumberland Street. Stay informed and stay well with WURD Radio.
96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Now, a WURD Radio weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steven Sosna.
Happy Friday to you. Have the umbrella around, especially the morning hours. We're looking at a windswept, chilly rain, raw temperatures in the 40s, wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. All this settles down, though, later on today. And we're looking at drier weather tonight. It's cold, though, with temperature 33. Your weekend, Saturday's a chilly one, a high of only 50. Sunday, a little bit warmer, windy, a few late day showers, and a high of 60. Remember, you can get the 10-day forecast when you download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Store. Southbound 95 still busy through the rain from Cottman Avenue down through Bridge, again from Allegheny through Girard. Northbound side, no major problems. Vine Expressway westbound, some slowing Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, that's a jam ride from University through 30th through that work zone west of that city out to Belmont Light, eastbound 76. Not too bad. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, still in pretty good shape overall. Disabled tractor trailer still out there on 295 northbound. Right before Westville, Woodbury Heights, it's off to the shoulder. 55 northbound Deptford into 42. A bit of a jam there. Staples helps businesses save on everything from office essentials to health essentials to packing and shipping. Right now, save 30% on select shipping supplies and 20% on UPS Expedited service. In-store only. Offerings 10/31 while supplies last. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up
with WURD.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to another edition of Wake Up with Word. Of course, we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. We now know that the family has viewed the body cam footage from the two officers who shot Walter Wallace Jr. on Monday. 14 shots, killing him. Numerous shots hit him, and he was going through a mental health crisis. We know from the body cam footage that one of the officers said to the other, shoot him, before they opened fire. We also know that the 911 call said that there was a 27-year-old male at that residence assaulting an elderly female and an elderly male. That's what the officers were told when they came out to that house. And we know that the family has said through their attorney that they would not like to see murder charges filed against those police officers. They did not say they didn't want to see any charges filed. They said they didn't want to see murder charges filed against those officers because they were not properly equipped to handle that situation. I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065 is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also comment on Facebook at forward, FORWURD. That's FORWURD. And let us know where you are on this topic. Deborah Dorn Carter on Facebook says this: Solomon, I think the attorney of Walter Wallace was right when he said, why didn't they shoot him in the leg, not empty their gun out on him, then to kick Walter to the curb trying to kill his character? His record on file with the police department was put out on the news. What does that have to do with his death? It's not going to bring him back. Let's go to, let's see, another comment from Calvin Moody. Good morning. They're doing it for tax purposes. They are not about political consciousness. They don't want their taxes going up. Biden said anyone making over $400,000, taxes are going to be going up. He's talking about the rappers who are coming out in support of Donald Trump. Walter Griffin Jr. says this: good morning, Word family. What happened to nightsticks and slapjacks? Is that a choice or a requirement? Riot police always have them. And so that is his comment. Phyllis Williams says good morning. And Chris Potter says, Solomon, is the civil settlement contingent upon who's most culpable for the death? Therefore, they want to make the Philadelphia Police Department and city take all the blame for the death and not the individual officers. I mean, ultimately, the city would pay the lawsuit anyway, right? That's part of the problem. I remember that being one of the demands we made around the Rally for Justice Coalition. One of the changes that we wanted to see was that some of that money, when an officer is sued for his own behavior on duty, that some of that money would come out of his pocket. But no, it comes out of your pocket as the taxpayer. That's wrong. Let's go to Claire from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Claire.
Yes, good morning, Solomon. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
Just want to emphasize the fact that you said there was not enough communication with the family and the district, the police, because years ago I had a situation like that. My son, my only son, was in a very bad car accident, and after that he had a lot of mental and emotional issues. And I must have 302 him about 11 times. Police were in my house like they lived here. And it was an understanding with the district that he would be in the computer, that as soon as somebody called, they would know that he had a mental problem. And I have to compliment the police here in West Philly. They did an excellent job. They stood with me. And I have to tell you, it's a draining situation on the family, you know, when someone in your house is sick like that. So something went wrong in this case that this happened, because my son would threaten the police. They would come in the house and he would tell them that he has a gun. He never had a gun. But those policemen were so skillful. They would come in and they would try to calm him down. And before they left, they would always say to me, we could tell he was from a good home. You raised him well. Something went wrong, you know. And they worked with me. I don't have enough words to thank them for what they did, you know. So definitely something went wrong in this situation, why that happened, you know. And I agree that they should not have killed him. They could have disabled him, shot him him in his leg or his arm or something, you know, knowing that he had a mental condition, you know. So it's not clear to me why they did what they did. Maybe they felt threatened, yes, but there is always another way than killing the person.
I want to thank you so much for your call this morning and for sharing that experience this morning on WURD. We certainly appreciate it. And, you know, many of us have gone through situations where you're dealing with someone in your family, in your household, in your community who is dealing with mental illness. And there does have to be some communication around that. And I just wonder why in this case, it's apparent to me that there was no communication or was not enough communication between the police officers who had already responded and the ones who were responding for that third and that fatal response. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. There's a lot of talk about the police should have shot him in the leg. And the reason that they are trained to shoot center mass is because you got to be a heck of a marksman, right? I know what we see in the movies and what we see on TV, but what we see in the movies and on TV is not real. You got to be a heck of a marksman to be able to shoot a moving target in the leg. You do, right? And most people who are going to try to do that or shoot them in the hand, you're going to miss. And you might hit a bystander. And so I'm not saying, you know, whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that that's why they're trained that way. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Miss Rose from Logan is on line one. Go ahead, Miss Rose.
Hi. You said the question whether they should be charged for murder.
That's what the family said they should not.
Yeah, it's a lot to that. But my thing is the amount of times they shot that young man.
Mm-hmm.
The number of bullets that hit that body.
Mm-hmm.
That amount of bullets. The tension was there. Otherwise, they would have shot him once, twice, shot up in the air, shot near him, whatever. That's all I have to say.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. And I have to agree, like, you know, you shot 14 times. So you were, you know, your intent was to kill him. I mean, why? You know, I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation. We have some other comments. Cornelia Holmes, says, good morning. What's going on in the community is people are voting for Trump because they think he's going to keep giving them that stimulus money. In my community, old lady that I know that lives in Sarah Island Senior Building said they were told to change their party to Republican, and if they did, that they would not have to pay rent. So from what I understand, a lot of the seniors in that building was changing their party to Republican, whatever. You know, in the general election, it doesn't matter whether you are Republican or Democrat. You can vote for whoever you want. And so that's a rumor, but I want to thank you for sharing it this morning on WURD. Yvette Miles says this: communication between shifts or not, his family was around him begging for mercy, and these two officers decided that they needed to kill this man. I don't know, Solomon. This is making me distrust the authorities and literally sickens me. So we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD Radio. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a Word Radio weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steven Sasna.
Happy Friday to you. Have the umbrella around, especially the morning hours. We're looking at a windswept, chilly rain, raw temperatures in the 40s, wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. All this settles down, though, later on today. And we're looking at drier weather tonight. It's cold, though, with temperature 33. Your weekend, Saturday's a chilly one, a high of only 50. Sunday, a little bit warmer, windy, a few late-day showers, and a high of 60. Remember, you can get the 10-day forecast when you download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores, southbound 95. Still busy through the rain from Coppin Avenue down through Bridge, again from Allegheny through Girard, northbound side, no major problems. Vine Expressway westbound, some slowing Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, that's a jam ride from University through 30 through that work zone west of that city out to Belmont Light, eastbound 76. Not too bad. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, still in pretty good shape overall. Disabled tractor trailer still out there on 295 northbound. Right before Westville, Woodbury Heights, it's off to the shoulder. 55 northbound, Deptford into 42. A bit of a jam there. Staples helps businesses save on everything from office essentials to health essentials to packing and shipping. Right now, save 30% on select shipping supplies and 20% on UPS Expedited service. In-store only. Offerings 10/31 while supplies last. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Hello, I'm former Mayor John Street.
And I'm Mayor Street's son, Senator Sharif Street.
You know, I've been out here fighting for what's right for a long, long time, but I can't think of an election more important than the one that's happening right now.
We all know we have to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but we also have a couple of hometown heroes that we need to elect.
Nina Ahmad served as the City of Philadelphia Deputy Mayor, and it would be a welcome change to have a strong woman of color go to Harrisburg to fight for all of us.
We also have working class hero John Kane running for state senate. He's a blue-collar guy ready to fight for better-paying jobs and accessible health care. I'd love to have John Kane join me in the state senate.
This election is just too important. So when you go out, vote for Joe and Kamala.
Don't forget to vote for Nina Ahmad for Auditor General and John Kane for state senator.
This message is paid for by the Friends of Sharif Street.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
New Voices for Reproductive Justice is mobilizing Black women in Philly and our families to vote on Tuesday, November 3rd. You can mail or drop off your ballot or vote early in person at 20 locations in Philadelphia and Delaware County right now. For more information, visit newvoicesrj.org/2020elections. That's newvoicesrj.org/2020elections.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
What you get for your vote is important. For decades, Democrats like Joe Biden have taken our votes for granted. They have promised us a better future and never delivered. What did our votes for Biden get us? He wrote the 1994 crime bill that put millions of black men in prison for nonviolent crimes and a sluggish economy that left our communities behind. What does a vote for President Trump and his Platinum Plan get you? A contract with Black America that prioritizes Black economic empowerment, 3 million new jobs for the Black community, 500,000 new Black-owned businesses, an increase in access to capital in Black communities by almost $500 billion, better and cheaper health care, more education opportunities, and continued historic improvements to our criminal justice system. A vote for Biden gets you the same failed policies we've seen for decades. But with President Trump, the best is yet to come.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President Incorporated.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. We're talking about a number of things this morning, including, of course, the top story, the Walter Wallace shooting that took place on Monday. Gentleman was experiencing some mental health issues, and we've learned a couple of things. After the family viewed the body cam footage from those two officers, we learned that in the seconds before they opened fire, one of them said to the other, shoot him, and then they shot a barrage of 14 bullets at Walter Wallace. According to the family, it looks like about 10 of those bullets hit him, killing him. And the other thing that we learned from the Inquirer's reporting is that the 911 call that was made prior to the police arriving at the home at that time, which was the third time that day. In the 911 call, the report was a 27-year-old male assaulting an elderly female and male at the home. And so I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. So the other thing that we learned after the family viewed those tapes, they held a press conference along with their lawyer, Shaka Johnson, and the family, through their lawyer, said that they do not want to see those officers charged with murder. And here's why, Johnson said. They were improperly trained and did not have the proper equipment by which to effectuate their job. Right? And so those officers, we also know, based on information that came from the police commissioner, Danielle Outlaw, those police officers did not have tasers. We also know now that there are many police officers in the police department who were not issued tasers. And the commissioner said that is a budgetary issue. The budget, of course, is decided by city council. There is a recommendation that comes from the mayor. City council then approves or disapproves or cuts or adds to the budget. And so there are a lot of folks who got their hands in this, right? If, in fact, it is a budgetary issue that all of the police don't have tasers, well, that points to the mayor and city council, right? If, in fact, the communication was not proper between the 3 times that the police went there that day, then that is on the police department, right? If, in fact, those officers were not trained to deal with a mental health crisis, that is also on the police department, but in my view, it's also on the city. Because if you know that we've always had mental health crises, right? Why aren't there behavioral health specialists who are prepared to go out on these calls? Why isn't that in place at all, right? But I think the other thing is this, and for me, this really is the bottom line, that even if all of those things were not in place, and the person in question was a white man in a white neighborhood with a white mother begging for his life, the police would not have shot him 14 times. That's the bottom line for me, right? That even though all of these things are wrong, all of these things, you know, the city is to blame and the police department is to blame and all of that, right? If he was white, he would still be alive. That's what I believe. And so I need to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Reverend Carr from East Parkside is on line 1. Go ahead, Reverend Carr. Okay, I can't hear Reverend Carr. Let's try it again. Reverend Carr from East Parkside is on line 1.
Reverend Jones?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You sound a lot stronger, and maybe that rest, that 2 weeks off, has really done you some good.
It has.
One question that I might have is whether or not these 2 officers, were they on your name that you found on the Facebook thing?
No.
Okay. Because a lot of people, when this story came out, a lot of black people were still on the side of the cops. That's, you know, the excessive force of really killing this young man. Even when you have a mental illness and things, I've called, and I'm a chaplain, and I said to the captains, I said, call the chaplains in. Let us come in and talk to the officers. And guess what? I have not received a call. We asked. I mean, I didn't ask for it personally. I didn't ask for a female police commissioner. However, she's doing the best she can with whatever she has, the hands she has to deal with. But she's really an outsider. She really doesn't know Philadelphia. And then the thing is, for us to put all this weight on her, the guys, and I said to the guy, I said, well, what happened to the tasers? They said, oh, they didn't have them. We really got to look at the big picture. They really want Philadelphia. And who I'm saying by they is they're gentrifying our neighborhoods. Remember when Washington used to be they called that the murder capital, and now Washington is 70% white. You follow what I'm saying, Brother Jones? They really want Philadelphia. They really want, I don't know, maybe it's got some gold or some oil. But anyway, brother, be safe. This is that mischief night and Halloween stuff that's coming up. And our people, we just got to be safe and extra careful, even with our masks on. Take care. God bless. And Brother Jones, you sound back.
Yeah, thank you. I feel good. I feel good. And I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. I do want to make one correction because actually these officers, their names and information has not been put out yet. So I don't know if they were on the Facebook thing or not. Normally, and that's the other thing we've learned, is that normally in a police shooting situation, the policy is to put out the names within 72 hours. Those names have not been put out. It's Friday. Shooting happened on Monday, right? So I want to correct myself and say I don't know whether or not they were on the Facebook thing because their names have not been released. So Ron from Overbrook is on line 2. Go ahead, Ron.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'd like to comment on the statement you just made. This would have not happened to a Caucasian person or white person. What happens is there was an incident where the cops was chasing 2 white suspects in a vehicle. They fled it from Camden. They was pulled over on Tyler Hill Street. got away and ended up in East North Philly and never was ever roughed up like they do us. Never. So there is a difference.
Yeah.
When it comes to us being pulled over by the police and how they handle a situation like what was posted this week. They are geared to hurt African Americans when they pull us over. And if you look at the gun range, every time they show the police officers having target practice or any gun range, they always show from the waist up, never show from the waist down. So their model is to shoot to kill, I believe. And that's
I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. If you want to get in, you can certainly give us a call now, or you can weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning show. Another rapper, Lil Wayne this time, come out in support of Donald Trump. And it's interesting to watch that. I asked the question early on, what is going on with hip-hop? You understand? How do you go from, an all-star list of rappers coming together and doing a song called You're Headed for Self-Destruction, right, to supporting Trump? How do you go from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, The Message, to supporting Donald Trump? How do you go from, the Public Enemy and Fight the Power to Lil Wayne supporting Trump? And here's what my good friend Andre Hicks said on Facebook. He said this: I guess with the rich and famous, if you have millions, investments, properties, land, et cetera, you need to look out for your own interests at any cost, or you could possibly lose it all. They might not like Trump, but they have finances, interests, and money to protect. As bad as the last 4 years has been for us, he's probably still profitable to some. Is it a sellout? So that's what he had to say. And, of course, we want to hear what you have to say. So we're going to take your calls on the other side of this break. And we're going to talk with will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. Speaking of pop artists, we're going to talk to him about the importance of voting at 8:10. Stay tuned. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election. And now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities. And this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location. And don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
Hi, I'm Kiera Bradford Gray, the Chief Defender of the Defender Association of Philadelphia. I've spent my career helping to reform our criminal justice system by advancing client-centered representation that empowers our communities to be stronger and safer. Our communities are still over-policed and under-resourced. This year, accountability is on the ballot, and we can finally have the community police oversight that we desperately need.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked. to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keep your dial locked
to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Tune in this Sunday at 4 p.m. for the show Money Matters, providing information and understanding about accumulating, preserving, and transferring your wealth with host Walter Watson.
This is WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We're talking about a number of things this morning. Just on a personal note, man, as an Eagles fan, you know, I'm watching Jerry Jones, right, at Dallas, and he cracks me up because you know what? Race has always got some other reason why they do the things they do to us, right? We didn't pass you over for promotion because you're black. It's because you just weren't right for the position. We didn't stop and frisk you because you're black. You just looked out of place in that neighborhood. And now Jerry Jones, right, the puckered-faced Dallas Cowboys owner, who demanded that his players toe the line during the national anthem, has come up with an excuse to cut the only player on his team who knelt during the anthem this year, Dontari Poe, a former Pro Bowl defensive tackle, who came over to the Cowboys this year, was cut by the Cowboys this week, with the Cowboys owner claiming it's because of Poe's weight and performance. Well, guess what? If that's the case, cut the whole team because your team is awful. But you know what? Really, he cut Poe because Poe knelt for the national anthem to protest racism in America, and Jones, just like Donald Trump, thinks he can control what black men think and feel and how they protest. Now, as an Eagles fan, let me just be clear. I have always hated the Cowboys, right? But now, as the Eagles prepare to play them this Sunday, I have even more reason to despise them. So I'm going to be watching that game closely because this is just racism 101. Find some other reason to do the stuff to black people that you want to do. We're also talking about brothers in hip-hop because first Ice Cube allows himself to be used by the Trump campaign when they announced that he had worked with them. Then 50 Cent said he supported Trump because his taxes would go up under Biden. Now Lil Wayne, with tattoos all over his face, has come out with a full endorsement of Donald Trump. And I'm trying to understand how you go from fight the power with Public Enemy to selling out with Lil Wayne. I'm trying to figure that out. Maybe y'all can help me with that. Of course, story number 2, 2 grand jurors who heard the Kentucky Attorney General's office presentation of the Breonna Taylor case say prosecutors were dismissive of their questions and that there was an uproar when jurors realized that Louisville police officers would not be charged with Taylor's death. And of course, story number 3, the family of Walter Wallace Jr. has come out and said they do not want to see those officers charged with murder in the death of their son. Their lawyer, Shaka Johnson, explained that the officers were improperly trained and did not have the proper equipment by which to effectuate their job. They are holding the city responsible, and we will see what happens with that. Some things that have come out, though, since they viewed that body cam footage. One of the officers said to the other, shoot him, in the seconds before they opened fire, letting off 14 shots, at least 10 of which, according to the family, hit their son, killing him. The other thing that we've learned from the Inquirer's reporting is that when the dispatch call went out, when the radio call went out to those police officers, in the radio call, those officers were told that a 27-year-old male was assaulting an elderly female and male at the home. The dispatch recordings included no mention of Wallace's mental health history or the 2 times police had already responded to calls of disturbances at that same address that day. So, more information coming out about this, but we still don't have the name of the officers, even though departmental policy is supposed to be to release the names of officers involved in these kinds of shootings within 72 hours. So I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Brother Joe from Germantown is on line 1. Go ahead, Brother Joe.
Hey, Brother Solomon, Brother Joe. How y'all doing today, Solomon?
Good. How are you?
I'm starting off pretty good. I'm glad you're feeling better, Solomon. You're great.
Thank you.
I've been praying for y'all, man.
Appreciate
that.
Hey,
Solomon, real quick, a few things. I'm gonna come to the Cowboys thing. As you know, Solomon, I'm a Cowboys fan. I make no
Oh, Lord.
But Solomon, guess what? But I agree with you. But see, I separate when it comes to a black man and white man thing. I'm a fan of the team. I don't like the owner. He's a cold-blooded bigot. I've been saying it for the longest. You see, if you want them brothers get treated like that, they let themselves be treated like that. Or he cut Poe because he didn't want to stand for the national anthem. If I would have stood with him, you wouldn't be able to do that. But when you're scared to stand up, like Dr. King said, man only do to you what you allow him to do. So it's the brothers on the Cowboys, but Dak Prescott and the rest of them, till they stand up, you just gonna treat them like they're modern-day slaves, Solomon. It's that simple. Solomon, real quick on this police thing. You're right, Solomon. All trained to shoot, spin a mask. But I've seen clips, Solomon, like in Knoxville, Tennessee, where the white boy was shooting at the police. I mean, he had a knife in his hand, and he wouldn't drop it in the parking lot in Knoxville, Tennessee the other year, and the cop shot him in his leg. The white boy fell, cop came over and kicked the knife away. He was about maybe 10 feet from the white boy. And I'm saying to myself, why can't they do that with our people? Why is it always that they take lethal means when it comes to our people? And Solomon, let me say this, brother. Lil Wayne. Don't forget, Brother Solomon, he's the same ignoramus that a few years ago said that Emmett Till got the crap beat out of him or something like that. He was beating like Emmett Till. See, people like him, look at the other guy's name, Kanye West. See, all these fools, Solomon, they need to be ostracized from the black community. You know, they always say negative things about their own people. But you ever notice, Brother Solomon, they don't say stuff about white folks or Jewish people. They're not crazy as you think they are, Solomon. But they quick to say something stupid about their own people. So keep that in mind, my brother, okay?
All right, thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Jim from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, definitely with police and all. They need their equipment, they need training, and they need the mental health department because there's so much pressure on people. It doesn't take nothing to make a person snap. It really doesn't. I mean, situations and all. So, yeah, they really need to go after the city and the department to have an adequate, response team and everything. As far as these taxes go, people don't realize you don't owe taxes until you make money. you're paying taxes for the privilege of living in a country, an economy and all, that you can make all of this money. And when you get past a certain point, what does it mean about money? I mean, how good can you live? How good can you eat? How good can you do anything? I mean, it's just stupid about this money thing. I feel privileged to be able to pay taxes because I made money. So that's all I got to say about it. I mean, when you put money before anything else, the lives, the way you're treated and all, you could be the richest person in the world. You walk in the room, they're going to still look at you as an end. All right? So ain't nothing you can do, just vote. Vote. Vote.
All right, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. 215-634-8065. Of course, that's the number you can call to get in. You can also hit us on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. That is the way that you can hit us on Facebook. Let us know where you are on these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. So we got a couple of comments coming in on Facebook. One of them is from Gail Robinson. Yes, the police commissioner outlaw set all this in motion by scapegoating. This helps their case when people are shouting to defund the police. This will give them cover. I don't believe anything coming from the department or fake news. Everything so nonchalantly done and said. It is sickening, destructive. They need to be fired right now. So that's what she said. Jeanette Connor said, yes, it's a sellout. They have forgotten where they came from. If they did not have that money, then they would be considered as just another N. And so that's what Jeanette Connor had to say. Nikki Carter says this: these rappers don't care about the people. Back in the day, it was definitely more conscious and community driven. So let's go to Maurice from Southwest on line 3. Go ahead, Maurice.
Hey, Solomon, this is just my opinion, okay? And what happened with the family was 3 phases. Number 1, they took the money and ran. Number 2, the lawyer is going to get 40%. And number 3, we're going to be paying for it. That money don't come from the police. That comes from our taxes, our tax money. That money could be used in the black community, and that's what happened. They did it 1, 2, 3, checks in the mail, and that's the end of it. I don't want to hear all these excuses about if somebody killed my family right in front of my eyes. Even if they were in the right, I'd be like, take them to court. So I don't even want to hear that all of a sudden they got the Jesus moment and says,
yeah, but no, you know what? Hold up, Maurice. I don't care if that's your opinion or not. That's not for you to trash that family for what they think about what happened to theirs. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Have a little decency this morning, bro. Don't do that.
I don't have no decency.
Don't do that to that family, man. Don't do that.
I don't have no decency when our tax money is used like that.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, but I think you're wrong.
You work with the police. You know how it went down.
Yeah, I did, but
the check's in the mail. The lawyer gets 40%, and we're going to pay the bill.
Yeah, we are going to pay the bill, and that's unfortunate, but that's not for you to trash that family for what they think about what happened to theirs. I'm just being honest with you. Now, that's my opinion. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We appreciate it. Come on, bruh. Sherry from West Philly is on line 1. Go ahead, Sherry. Go ahead, Sherry.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Thanks for picking up my call. Happy Friday.
Uh-huh.
Solomon, I just wanted to, talk about, of course, we need police reform in this country, and that's why I think this election is actually very much important than any other election. Kamala Harris has worked in the criminal justice system. She understands the police department in California, and she understands what needs to be reformed. She understands what needs to be taken care of, and that's why I believe and I think that she, with Joe Biden, they can do a much better job to reform all the police departments so they can get their proper training, have cameras on them, and whoever that actually commits a crime, And it does not mean that you're a police officer, you don't commit a crime. Okay? They commit a crime, there'll be no protection from them. They have to face the law. That's one point I wanted to make. The second point I wanted to make, Solomon, I know you want to talk about, these celebrities that are supporting Donald Trump. I want to focus on what is best for all of us. Okay? They have their followers, but we all know sometimes it can be idiots. Okay? I'm not going to talk about them, but we know what is happening across this country. Republicans have always been trying to protect people from going out to vote. And that's why, more than ever, we need to go out there and vote. And nobody should stop. People die. People give up their life for you so you can vote.
Yeah.
We should take that very seriously, Solomon. We should take that very seriously. Please, let's go out and vote. And don't trust these fools. Don't trust these fools. Go out, make a party with your friends, or set a date with your girlfriend. Make it fun. Go out and vote. Maxed up. Thank you, Solomon, for picking up.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Harold from New Jersey on line 2. Go ahead, Harold.
Hey, good morning, my brother.
Good morning.
I just want to say this to you, man. This thing's been happening far more and too frequent in our communities.
Yes.
And it's not only, it didn't start today, it didn't start yesterday. It started way back since our ancestors have been in these communities, getting killed, shot down by these police. I grew up in Harlem, and I remember a few years back when Eleanor Bumpers got murdered for the same situation, and those police officers was let off. I think that we need to come together more as a people and recognize, that we have been living wrong for so long that it become right to us. And the government knows this, and they put these factions into our communities so that, we become blind and like we can hurt each other and look away when others try to hurt us, brother. That's all I want to say.
I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Nikki Carter says this: these rappers don't care about the people. Back in the day, it was definitely more conscious and community-driven. Now it's more about money and self, which is a reflection of this selfish times that we are in. Jeanette Connor says, well, I already read that, said, yes, it is a sellout. And so if you want to get in, we got a couple of minutes, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Let me just say this because, I was raised in a way that, sometimes you gotta, sometimes some things you need to keep to yourself, right? Some things you don't necessarily need to say. Sometimes you need to self-edit in order to really look beyond your own opinion, right? And see how what you might say might affect other people. Sometimes you got to do that, right? And so for me in this moment, right, I am not here to castigate a family that is in the midst of grieving. They just lost their loved one to a barrage of bullets from people whose job it was to help them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not for that, man. Like, why are you going to denounce the people they grieving? They still trying to figure out, they can't even sleep at night. And you really going to denounce them? Come on, bruh. Come on, man. That's, I think at some point, right, if we are going to survive and thrive and rise as a community, sometime we got to learn, you know what, right now, I'm going to keep this to myself. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's me. Demetrius from Camden is on line 1. Go ahead, Demetrius.
Good morning, Brother Solomon. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I understand what you're saying in regards to the family and not commenting with the family because there's a time and place for everything. Yeah. However, I agree with you in regards to our actions could affect a lot of other people. when we do take the money, and I'm not saying the family is, but when we continue to do the same thing and allow these police officers to get away with murdering people, and we as taxpayers, we just like openly accept that, where if it had to do with education and the school was failing and, you know, tax dollars were being defunded from, we would holler a little bit, but the thing is, we wouldn't like allow it to go. We would have responsibilities laid out on the table for people who are destroying our school system. And similar, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Okay. And similar to that, when we talk about defunding the police, just like schools, you have Republicans and politicians that say, listen, we need to defund public schools because it doesn't work. Law enforcement in the urban areas do not work. They're the highest funded law enforcement agencies in the country in the urban areas. They do not benefit our people as much, and money's continually pumped into law enforcement.
So what do you suggest we do? And you got about 10 seconds because we got to go to break. What do you suggest we do?
So what we need to do is, instead of trying to train racist police officers, what we need to do is we need to focus on training our young people who commit crimes at a very early age to use that business savvy that they have or that willingness to make money and try to train them into building our community. That's what we need.
When crimes are committed, how is that going to be handled in your model?
The thing is prevention. What we always want
when crime, because people go commit crime, right?
Yeah,
when crime is committed, how is that going to be handled in your model?
In my model, we have enough police officers to handle the crime. We have to have prevention because police officers can stop the drugs and the guns. They can.
So what you're saying? So wait a minute, because we gotta go to break. So what you're saying is there should be police, just not as many.
No, it should be police preventing crimes rather than prosecuting people. That's what should happen because if I can't.
Well, a district attorney prosecutes people, not the police.
If I can't get a bulletproof vest just to protect myself because it's not available in the street, I'm sure they can make sure that guns are not available in the street as much as well. So just like
okay, you're saying a whole lot of different stuff. What's your point? Are you saying there should be police, there shouldn't be police, or what?
I said the funding, it shouldn't be as many police because again,
it shouldn't be as many. Got it. Okay, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We got to go to break. On the other side, we're going to talk with Akbar Hassan about your money. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a Word Radio weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steven Sosna.
Happy Friday to you. Have the umbrella around, especially the morning hours. We're looking at a windswept, chilly rain, raw temperatures in the 40s, wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. All this settles down, though, later on today. And we're looking at drier weather tonight. It's cold, though, with temperature 33. Your weekend, Saturday's a chilly one, a high of only 50. Sunday, a little bit warmer, windy, a few late day showers, and a high of 60. Remember, you can get the 10-day forecast when you download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Southbound 95, still busy through the rain from Coppin Avenue down through Bridge, again from Allegheny through Girard. Northbound side, no major problems. Vine Expressway westbound, some slowing Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, that's a jam ride from University through 30 through that work zone west of that city out to Belmont Light, eastbound 76. Not too bad. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, still in pretty good shape overall. Disabled tractor trailer still out there on 295 northbound. Right before Westville, Woodbury Heights, it's off to the shoulder. 55 northbound, Deptford into 42. A bit of a jam there. Staples helps businesses save on everything from office essentials to health essentials to packing and shipping. Right now, save 30% on select shipping supplies and 20% on UPS Expedited service. In-store only. Offer ends 10/31 while supplies last. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA-votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA-votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandmom.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in a small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour workday, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on WURD Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Don't do it. There's other ways to celebrate your anniversary other than going in debt. The fact that it's credit card debt tells me it's not any debt that was, needed. Past performance is not indicative of future results. So with that qualifier, don't walk, run.
And now, Akbar Hassan, only on Wake Up with Word.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Joining us now, Akbar Hassan, personal financial advisor, counseling individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience in 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy-to-understand guidance. Akbar, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
Oh, man, people getting on my nerves, but I'm all right. That's how I know I'm all right, Akbar, because people getting on my nerves. So
can you just say, don't speak what's on your mind?
I said sometimes you got to self-edit. You know, sometimes you know what? Yeah, that's how I feel. But you know what? Maybe now's not the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear you. The time is there's a lot of critical things going on, and I hear what you're saying. The last caller, he did have a little nugget that he said about just people that are involved in something bad, they can turn it around to something good, or just find a way for people to train them to do something good, which is exactly what we're trying to do in Man Up PHL. So, to get mentees directed towards us, so we can just guide them to to a better path, this path that you really want to be on, which is good, because I believe everyone wants to do good. Some people just need more of a direction to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. You are absolutely right, and he was right about that as well, Akbar. And I want to thank you for saying that, because that has been my woosah moment right there when you said that. So I appreciate that.
All right, well, take a second, do your woosah then. But
yeah.
Close your eyes and put your fingers together.
Do the whole thing, right? So let's talk about money, man. That's something we all have in common. So I know we got a question from one of our listeners this week. What have they said? What's the question we got this week on money, Akbar?
All right. So our question is: in 2019, I started a business developing website. It's finally beginning to take off. Eventually, I know I will need to purchase new computer equipment and software. Since interest rates are low, what credit card do you recommend I apply for so I can make the purchases when the time comes? Very good question. So you have a business that utilizes technology, and you need to update your stuff from time to time. All right. First, let's address this credit card. Interest rates are low, but for credit cards, they're still 11 to 22%. All right. So when people say, okay, a home mortgage is 3%, 2%, it's not the same for credit cards. You're talking about 11 to 22%. So that's still high. With that said, just like personal life, a business credit card can be a blessing and a curse. All right. So the main reason to use a credit card for business is to keep track of your expenses. All right.
Right.
It helps smooth cash flow, and for some businesses, it helps them cut down on fraud. All right. So let me explain. Let me break it down. All right. So credit cards, they have great tools to track and organize your business spend. They have charts and graphs and automatic categorizations and summaries. So, and instead of paying cash, if you use a credit card, you'll get everything summarized, and you don't have to enter stuff into a separate budget. It's actually a time saver. And so you'll get to see exactly where your spend is and where you're going over and what's within your budget without entering in a separate program. It's pretty cool. But the key here is make sure you're paying this off during that first cycle. As soon as you get the statement, make sure everything's paid off. All right? So that way no interest is charged. All right. Similarly, you might need help in smoothing your cash flow. All right? So if you have irregular payments coming from clients, all right, so you use your credit card to just pay your routine expenses until that payment comes in from the clients. All right? But this is also where people get into trouble, because a lot of people are not great at chasing their clients for payment. A lot of people are not great in chasing that accounts receivable and managing that, and so they have no idea what money is coming in from clients or when it's coming in. And so they've charged all this stuff on their credit card, and now the money doesn't come in. So now it goes to the next cycle, and now you're paying interest. All right. So to do this, you really have to manage your money coming in to make sure that you're not overspending. And in addition to that, you want to make sure that you're not using your credit card as a crutch, all right, for a business that's not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, they say they just keep charging, hoping that things turn out. I've heard great stories about where people, they put everything in their credit card maxed out, and now they're a millionaire. Yes, that's few and far between. That's not a good way to operate a business. I'm not saying it can't happen. That's not what I would recommend, all right? So that's something to keep an eye on. I knew a business. They had a policy where if the employees worked late, the company would pay for their dinner up to $25, all right? So all the employee had to do was just submit a receipt on what they spent, and they get reimbursed for it. Sounds cool, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does. The problem was employees were going to the stationery store, buying fake receipt books, all right, and writing in the amount and putting oil on the receipt like they got it from a pizza place. Okay.
Wait, they went so far as to put the oil on the receipt?
They went so far as to crumple it up, all right, and put oil on the receipt. All right? And this went on for a while, okay? So, the point is, they didn't buy dinner. They actually ate a sandwich, a little peanut butter jelly sandwich at home, and just put in for something for $24.57. It was always, you give somebody $25 to spend, they're always going to spend up to the limit. So the way the company cut down the fraud is they gave people corporate credit cards. All right. So now all your spend is on that credit card. When you're involved in cash, there's always room for fraud. One way to cut down fraud on a large business or even a medium or relatively small business with a number of employees is to give people corporate credit cards. That way, it cuts down on that loophole there. All right. So those are the ways that a credit card can be used for business. Let's get back to the question. Do I recommend getting a credit card for future purchases for your future upgrade that you know is going to happen? No, I do not. All right. What I recommend is, since you know you're going to have this future purchase of equipment and software, and it's going to be routine every so many years or so, I would set money aside, all right, for that. All right. I would set money aside occasionally, an occasional amount in a separate fund, and that way, when you're ready to make that upgrade that you know is going to happen, you have the money already there. Because I assure you that purchase is large enough that you can, if you did not do this, it would roll over month to month, and you will be paying interest on it. So set aside that money now, all right, occasionally, and it's in a separate sinking fund. That's something you set the money aside for something. And when you're ready to make that purchase, the money is already there. You don't have to pay interest, and life goes on. That's what I would recommend.
All right. Akbar Hassan, of course, is a personal financial advisor counseling individuals and small businesses. He has 3 decades of corporate finance experience at 2 of the world's largest law firms. He unwraps the mystery of money, offering practical, insightful, and easy to understand guidance. Akbar, thanks so much.
Thank you, Simon.
All right. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning show, 215-634-8065. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook at 4WURD. That's FORWURD. FORWURD, and let us know where you are on these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. So LaShawna McConnell, regarding the police, says this: they all received funding for the tasers. It was just not a priority. I don't think that's the case. I really think that, now if you believe that they could have spent other money that they use for other things like overtime, right, and bought the tasers, maybe that would have given them part of the money, but they actually had their budget cut this year. So I want to talk about that, though. I want to talk about priorities, because a lot of times, and she hit on a point, because a lot of times, here's what we do, right? We beg for what we need, but we buy what we want. You understand what I'm saying? You need like a new roof on your house, but you got everybody in your crib got a cell phone. So you paying, hundreds of dollars a month for a cell phone bill, when really that's what you want. You could probably take that money and put a new roof or repair the roof that you have, right? Your car needs to be fixed, but you riding in your girlfriend car or whatever because you wanted to spend your money on clothes instead of fixing your car. Like we beg for what we need and buy what we want. And so maybe that's the case with the budget. You know what I'm saying? Right? You needed tasers, but instead you're spending the money on overtime. We need to talk about that. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Now, a Word Radio weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Steven Sosna.
Happy Friday to you. Have the umbrella around, especially the morning hours. We're looking at a windswept, chilly rain, raw temperatures in the 40s, wind gusts 20 to 30 miles per hour. All this settles down, though, later on today. And we're looking at drier weather tonight. It's cold, though, with temperature 33. Your weekend, Saturday's a chilly one, a high of only 50. Sunday, a little bit warmer, windy, a few late day showers, and a high of 60. Remember, you can get the 10-day forecast when you download the free NBC 10 app.
Now, a traffic update
on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Staples Stores. Southbound 95, still busy through the rain from Coppin Avenue down through Bridge. Again, from Allegheny through Girard, northbound side, no major problems. Vine Expressway westbound, some slowing Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound, that's a jam ride from University through 30th through that work zone west of that city out to Belmont Light, eastbound 76. Not too bad. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476, still in pretty good shape overall. Disabled tractor trailer still out there on 295 northbound. Right before Westville, Woodbury Heights, it's off to the shoulder. 55 northbound, Deptford into 42. A bit of a jam there. Staples helps businesses save on everything from office essentials to health essentials to packing and shipping. Right now, save 30% on select shipping supplies and 20% on UPS Expedited service. In-store only. Offerings 10/31 while supplies last. See store for details. Staples. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Dietz & Watson has been making premium meats and artisan cheeses for over 80 years. And when it comes to stacking sandwiches and party platters, they've got something for everyone in the family, like maple honey turkey breast, American cheese, buffalo chicken, and more. So get to your local deli and taste 4 generations of family recipes. With Dietz & Watson on the table, you'll have everyone coming back for seconds and thirds. Dietz & Watson, it's a family thing since 1939.
We've all heard people say this election is the most important of our lifetime. Let's remember why that's true. Under the Trump presidency, racism has found a tragic new normal, emboldened by a president who has demonstrated disrespect and disregard for our communities while embracing and protecting white supremacists. While the coronavirus was taking our family members from us, Donald Trump deceived the nation by withholding information that could have saved lives. He protected himself instead of protecting us. Our economy is in shambles, our children's education jeopardized, and the Trump administration is in court right now trying to take away our health care. This has to end. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are the leaders we need to chart a path toward opportunity, justice, and healing. From affordable health care to quality education and jobs, there's only one choice to move us forward. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by BlackPack and Priorities USA Action. BlackPack.com and PrioritieSUSAAction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Word Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness and motivation
as we continue to navigate the pandemic together.
Hi, this is Halana, your resident health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Many of us have heard this term before, but may not know what it really means. Compassionate living brings mindfulness and peace to the center of your daily life. Compassionate living can look like this. Number 1, be gentle with yourself and those around you. Number 2, choose to speak kindly to others, even when you're upset. Number 3, become a good listener and practice empathy at home and at work. We sometimes think in order to live with compassion, we have to become someone else. Not so. In fact, allowing peacefulness to be at the center of our daily interactions is something we can practice every day. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with Word. Happy living.
Stay well with Word. Connect with us at wordradio.com.
This year's been tough, but it's given me a lot of time to learn new skills through the internet.
I've been joining more classes during lockdown.
I'm doing an internship.
I taught myself how to play guitar.
So when people ask,
will I be able to learn online?
I feel like I'm ready.
Internet Essentials from Comcast has connected millions of families from low-income homes to the internet. So no matter what back to school looks like, students can be ready for anything. Learn more at comcast.com/Internet Essentials.
You're waking up
with Word,
hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. We're, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065, talking about a number of things, including the Walter Wallace shooting. The family says they do not want the officers charged with murder, but they do hold the city responsible for what happened. I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Danny from Southwest is on line 1. Go ahead, Danny.
Good morning. How are you doing, Solomon Jones? I'm a first-time caller.
Thank you.
But a tremendously long-time listener.
Thank you.
Okay. I grew up kind of near where you grew up, 28th of Oscar. I grew up on 28th of Montgomery, New Kirk Street, 1800.
Okay.
But the issue I wanted to talk about is I was concerned because we have a lot of churches and there's places available where you can actually have town meetings, not city council, but the citizens can get together and we can share issues like business opportunities, issues that's going on in our community, Town Watch, and we can have weekly meetings. And some of these churches are willing to rent their space out because basically that's the kind of space that normally we use for people use for Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, which I attend occasionally. But even Temple University has, Hanneman Hospital has an auditorium that they rent out. And we can rent out spaces once a week where we can get together and discuss issues. So not only will we be able to just discuss it and hope that you get the telephone number, and we miss a lot of information, but we can get together and for a couple of hours every week, and we can discuss issues that's involving our community, even Town Watch, because right now a lot of things are going on with cameras, even at the home cameras for Town Watch, where my neighbor that lives across the street from me, it's kind of like I look out for his property, he looks out for mine, so our block is pretty much up the point with that. And it's a difference because we have police officers who drive through the neighborhood on bikes, and we kind of get to know them personally. It was a few weeks ago, there was a shooting right at 67th and Elmwood that I was right in the middle of, but I noticed the police officers right on the corner. and it was almost a situation where someone could have gotten killed. And someone was just doing a random shooting, and the police were able to respond and catch these two guys. But this is how our neighborhood, and in the neighborhood I live on, the blocks, it's not really a black and white thing, when you come to different neighborhoods, because some neighborhoods are black and some neighborhoods are all white, and every person that's black, doesn't necessarily have a history of slavery. It might come from Africa, but we all black. And every person who's white or Italian or Greek or Russian kind of get offended when you just push things to say white, because white people consist of a lot of different cultures, and blacks do too. But I think it's an issue where the community, we have to really work together. But we have to have a place where we can meet. And I think that some of these churches
meet. Wait a minute, brother, because we get ready to move on. But meet to what end? Meet for what?
Churches are empty. Churches are empty during the week. These are places that we can actually.
I know that, but meet for what? I'm asking you, what is the meeting about?
To share issues and concerns about things that are going on in our community.
Okay. All right. I want to thank you for your call this morning. I appreciate you being a long-time listener. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. Jacob from Olney is online, too. Go ahead, Jacob.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Solomon, one thing, I've been listening. One thing, you do give your callers, all the benefit of the doubt.
I try.
You let us say what we want to say, and then you always, in a good way, critique it with, as you being the host and it's your show, I'm sure you can do that. But, one of your colleagues at night, at the end of the WURD day, Sincerely Sarita, she has a beautiful saying that she says, and I use it, She says, taste your words before you feed them to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I do that a lot, because sometimes I'll say something, and then after I think about it, I say, maybe, like you said, maybe I should have either kept that to myself or not said it that way, because once you get it out there, you can't take it back, right?
Right.
So, it's like a good chef or a good cook. My mama, I used to see her, when she was preparing the food for her family, she used to always taste it, right? And, to her, you might need a little more salt. You might need a little of that. So, again, I think that's a good thing if we all just learn to sometimes taste our words before we feed them to somebody else.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, brother.
I agree, Brother Jacob, and thank you for your call. And it's interesting. I saw the video you sent me yesterday, and, of course, now, the 911 call says 27-year-old male assaulting an elderly female and male at the home. And those dispatch recordings from that 911 call in the Baltimore Wallace case included no mention of Wallace's mental health history or the 2 times police had already responded to calls of disturbances at the same address that day. And I think that that's something that we need to look at. And that's something that folk need to be held accountable for, because there has to be communication. That's why you have police radio. Right, so that there is communication, so that where police officers are, where they need help, what situation they're going into, who they're looking for, what might be a danger, when they should use caution. Like, that's what it's there for, right? And to know that police had been there 3 times that day, and on the 3rd call there was no mention of the fact that police had already been there 2 other times that day. That's a problem. That's a problem. And it might be a problem that helped to lead to this tragic outcome in this situation. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Derek from North Philly's on line 4. Go ahead, Derek.
Hey, good morning, Solomon, and thank you for the opportunity. And I'm going to be real brief with this here, kind of, Solomon. Just give me a chance, please.
You sound a little muffled, brother.
I got my mask on, and I was listening to you say you don't care. You wear your mask like while you're in your car. You know what I mean? I'm by myself, but even though I'm in the car on my way going to work or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm still wearing my mask, you know what I mean? I picked that up from you, you know what I mean? And I got to say thank God for Solomon and WURD.
All right, so what's up? What's your comment?
My take on that is, like you said, the communication problem, and the thing is, we gotta hold everybody responsible, like from the dispatcher to the people that's in the community. I mean, the thing is, even though they was responding to a domestic dispute or whatnot, you know, it's still been somebody in the community that knew him and knew that, you know, he was suffering from mental problems or whatnot that could have said something to the police, you know.
Well, they did say something. That's the thing. The people were there, and they were telling them that he was experiencing, you know, a mental health crisis. They were telling them that. They did tell him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, the other take is I heard you say is about the police, you know, killing this guy, and his family is not going to make the police accountable. I don't understand that one there, so I'm just going to sit back and finish being educated about Solomon and WURD.
Well, I appreciate your call this morning on WRD. Let's go to Mike from North Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Mike.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing today, good brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. 2 quick things. Number one, let that family grieve the way they want to grieve.
Yeah.
Handle their business the way they want to handle it. You know, we shouldn't be so quick to just think that we know what's best for other people. You know, and the second thing, I personally don't look to rappers and entertainers for anything beyond their talent, because so many of them are so ignorant and uneducated at this point. You know, for so many of us who have made it, they forget where they come from, and they have the, what's the matter, boss, we stick mentality. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm not surprised by Lil Wayne, Ice Cube, or 50 Cent. And this is no wonder we went from self-destruction and fight the power to B's, H's, drugs, and money.
Yeah.
Because the white establishment has effectively hijacked hip-hop.
Yep.
You know, and in closing, Solomon, just for me personally, Lil Wayne, Ice Cube, and all these other clowns, they music gets no ride in my play, no play in my ride no more. Thanks for taking my call.
I know that's right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote. To stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
There's a pressing need to strengthen pathways to better jobs in communities of color. That's why Bank of America is investing $1 billion to advance racial equality and economic opportunity.
I'm Jim Dever, Greater Philadelphia Market President for Bank of America. We've partnered with Coded by Kids to connect people to new skills and employment opportunities. It's just one way we're taking action in Greater Philadelphia right now.
Bank of America N.A., member FDIC, equal credit opportunity lender.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Remember when Trump defended neo-Nazis?
You also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Or downplayed the coronavirus?
It's going to disappear one day. It's like a miracle.
It's time to fire politicians who failed us and elect leaders who will fight systemic racism, have a plan to beat the coronavirus, and will address bias in our healthcare system. This election, remember whose side Trump is on, not yours. Request a ballot now. Make a plan to vote. Our lives depend on it. Paid for by the NAACP.
Did you know you can catch the flu and COVID-19 at the same time or even back-to-back? Don't risk catching the flu during the COVID-19 pandemic. The flu shot is a safe and effective way of reducing your chances of catching the flu or spreading it to others. And the flu shot helps protect you and your community from the worst effects of the flu. Don't say, I should have got my flu shot. Call your doctor or visit your pharmacist and get your flu shot today.
Hello, my name is Hassan Bennett. I did 13 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. Over-policing in our community has led to over 100 casualties like mine. It's time we, the people, take control of our future. And we do this on November 3rd by voting to make communities safer and the system fairer.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
Lifting every voice
till earth and heaven ring.
This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Black Talk Media. Backed by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD, and we're, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065, or on Facebook at FORWURD, FORWURD. Will Mega from West Philly is on line one. Go ahead.
Solomon, what's up, brother?
Good morning.
Oh, man, good morning. A few things. Glad you're getting better. We can hear it in your voice every day. We can hear it.
Mm-hmm.
But I seen you on video.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to eat some more, bro. I need you to eat some more. I know you want to lose weight, but we need you healthy black weight, which is like
I am
really
eating, man. Right now I'm eating fruit. I've been eating a lot of fruit, lot less junk. So I've lost a couple of pounds, but I'm good.
Yeah,
I feel good.
I lost 14 when I had it. I'm back to healthy black weight, which is kind of like, which is really kind of a little unhealthy. But anyway.
A little bit.
All right, man, a few things. I got three things. So hopefully you can give me like extra 30 seconds.
Okay,
Number one is the complete lack of leadership of Mayor Kenny over this last 2-3 months, bro. I'm sickened by him completely. Not this most recent events of the last week, but the last 3 months, he's been absent. I don't know if folks been paying attention, but he's been absent. Mm-hmm. And I'll revisit that at some time soon. As it relates to this family, I'm confused. So what, you don't want the family to file a civil suit? Like you believe that they've been harmed, but you don't want them to file a civil suit. They can't bring their son back. That don't make sense to me, right?
You're asking me that, or you're saying the lawyer?
No, the guy who called in complaining about the fact that our tax dollars are going to have to pay for it. Our tax dollars, like that just comes with the territory, right?
Yeah.
That comes with the territory.
They should have to pay some of that out of their pocket, and I've been saying that for a couple of years now. The police officers who did it should have to pay some of that out of their pocket, because I believe that would be a big deterrent to this stuff happening. But the way that it's constructed now, certainly it comes from the taxpayers. But the people got to sue. They were wronged. They were wrong.
I don't think that these officers are going to be found guilty at all, nor do I think there'll be even a criminal case in this. I think this is a really difficult one to prove any wrongdoing by the police specifically. I think who's more at fault here is the city not providing them with the resources that they need to go through the stages of de-escalation. And so then my last piece shifting is around...
Well, my problem is that they shot him 14 times, right? A knife, considered a deadly weapon. He's moving toward them. So you're right. It's going to be difficult, right? Especially to charge him with murder. So, but, you know, I think the fact that they shot him 14 times for me is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. Because, okay, you disable him, whatever, you know, but 14 times? That's a problem. But go ahead, make your third point, Will, because we got to move on.
Is these black men in hip-hop, right?
Yeah.
And voting, I think we need to pull back a little bit. One, for the record, Ice Cube definitely did not endorse or support Donald Trump, right?
Right. They used Ice Cube.
Right. Now, but the others, the black celebrities, specifically in black men in hip-hop, have been being paid to endorse candidates and get involved in politics all along. So it's not so much that they're quote-unquote selling out. Their introduction to politics has been, we're going to pay you to get involved in this, whether it be Citizen Change and P. Diddy, whether it be what Ben Chavis did with the Hip Hop Summit. I mean, do you think that Jay-Z and Obama, and Beyonce didn't get an extremely healthy check with that piece? They didn't do it for free. will.i.am, he got paid. And so, 50 Cent said, I did this because Donald Trump offered me $500,000. So
but didn't he say he didn't take it?
My point, man, come on. My point
I'm saying he said he didn't take it.
Do you believe this dude?
I got to go, Will. I got to go. I hear your point, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WRD. Let's go to Renee from Logan on line 2. Go ahead, Renee.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
I am again very much hurt, and I extend my sympathies to the family here in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I think that we are in a situation where the police are used to be arriving on the scene and being judge and jury, not just that they should arrest and detain or quell the situation, but they do things that basically have them punishing and in many cases, of course, killing the people that they arrest. And that, I think that's part of their attitude and their culture, and it's been allowed. They have beat us and come and hurt our children and done all kinds of things, and even Trump told them to, hit somebody's head and do things that is totally opposite of the notion of not guilty until proven guilty or innocent until proven guilty. They're not used to that, and it still hasn't stopped.
I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. That was Renee from Logan. Now let's talk to Renee from West Oak Lane on line 3. Go ahead, Renee.
Oh.
It's you, Renee. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got finished speaking.
Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got 2 Renees. So let's go to Renee from Logan.
Okay.
All right. Get that together, Jordan. We'll figure that out. In the meantime, take the one off the list that has already spoken, and we'll talk to the other one. Meanwhile, on Facebook, you got Arnold Thornton saying this. Solomon Jones, good morning, Brother Solomon. The reason I believe that the family is not seeking murder charges is this, and it's just a theory. I think that the family feels responsible for the death of their son because they called the police, and this is the end result. But I also think that once the police officers made the conscious decision to pull the trigger, that guilt should have been erased from the family. So that's what Arnold Thornton says. Nikki Carter says this. The thing, their lack of training is playing with people's lives. The higher-ups always know there is an issue, why not head this off? They're playing Russian roulette with our lives and trying to figure it out later. This will not do. All of the leadership's heads are on the line. They better realize it today. Jeanette Connor says this: good morning, WURD family. Solomon, I agree. There's no reason other than the fact that this was a black man, that he was shot 14 times. It makes no sense. This would have turned out completely different if the person were white. So they shot 14 times. The family says they believe at least 10 bullets hit him. And, you know, it's a tough situation, man, but I want to hear from you. So give us a call at 215-634-8065. Diane from South Philly is on line 4. Go ahead, Diane.
Solomon, good morning. Oh, okay, brushing my teeth and listening to you at the same time.
Good morning.
I know I'm a multitasking black woman. That's right. I'm from the man. That's it.
I know that's right.
My point, that's the point I wanted to make about why did they have to shoot him? One officer that told the other guy to shoot him.
Yep.
So what's this, like, you shoot, I shoot, you shoot, I shoot? Come on. Stop that. We need, and you know what? Solomon, I feel so sorry for the commissioner. She probably said, I don't believe I came into all of this. It's not like she bit off more than she can chew, but they gave her more to chew than she thought she could bite off, okay? The crime and everything that's going on in Philly. And then one thing I want to piggyback on that Jay mentioned, when Trump had Uncle Clarence Thomas, the sworn and the new justice, that was to get the vote. I remember talking to you that day, and I forgot to mention that, because remember I said I'm always telling you something, and when I get on here, I forget what I have to say. That's why I said, because he did that intentionally. When's the last time you seen Clarence Thomas do anything? Like they say, it's the truth. And my sister met him personally because, you know, his father was from South Philly.
Okay.
Some people didn't know that, yeah. But Solomon, don't let Jordan stay with Queen Carissa because they're both like chicken and potato salad. I love them, both of them. That's a fine young man. If my daughter wasn't so old, I would introduce him to her.
All right now. Uh-oh.
Love you. And Sugar Lady's the bumblebee today. I'm going to send you pictures.
Okay, I look forward to it. Thanks, Diane. I appreciate your call this morning on WRD. If you want to get in, it's 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. That is 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We got a message from Clyde. He said this: most police departments have CIT training. That's Crisis Intervention Team training, I believe. 500 Philadelphia officers were trained in 2009, according to the police website. I received mine for free at the Red Cross because I work at Norristown Hospital and with at-risk youth. The training is for youth and adult first aid. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in. You can also weigh in on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD. Raphael Suleiman says on Facebook, yes, that is a good point. I do believe that there's a great deal of fiscal mismanagement of the city budget. Philly has a reputation for corruption. I believe that the money for tasers was diverted to police overtime pay too. The lack of tasers is a public safety concern now. So that's what he had to say. We want to hear what you have to say as well. So if you want to weigh in on Facebook, you can certainly do that. And you can also weigh in on the line. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Tanya Bell says this: Solomon, when it comes to the rappers, please follow the stimulus money. For example, according to the Small Business Administration, Kanye West received millions in government funding under the Paycheck Protection Program. That's true. The PPP loans and grants were part of the $2 trillion CARES Act, which President Donald Trump signed into law this spring. The loans and grants were designed to help small businesses hurt by the coronavirus pandemic to retain or rehire employees. West's Yeezy fashion brand received $2 million to $5 million. West has said his brand is worth $3 billion and recently announced a collaboration with Gap that could be worth $100 million or more depending on the company's performance. So she's right. Kanye West did get money from the Paycheck Protection Program. That money was supposed to be, and it wasn't. It was supposed to be for like small businesses to help them through the coronavirus pandemic to pay their employees. But what ended up happening, and you know, this is just part of it's been so much corruption in this administration, man, it's hard to keep up with it. But I'm going to try to tell you off the top of my head what happened. So with the Paycheck Protection Program, the Democrats wanted to put an inspector general in place who would oversee the money, how it was spent, who got it, make sure it didn't go to friends, cronies, and that kind of thing. Donald Trump moved that inspector general out of the way so that there would be nobody there to see and to oversee who that money was going to. And so a lot of that money ended up going to people who were aligned with, you know, with the powers that be. That's part of what happened. The other part of what happened is that you had big banks in charge of it who don't give loans to black people even when they qualified for it anyway. And so a lot of black businesses that weren't aligned with Trump or didn't have a whole lot of money were kind of frozen out of it. And so that whole thing, and then Donald Trump sending out money, you know, the stimulus money, the little $2,400 you got. Meanwhile, his cronies getting millions. You get a little $2,400, $1,200, $3,600, you know, whatever. He signed his name on the left side of the check, which is not the endorsement, right? The endorsement goes on the right side, but he wanted to make sure his name was on the check because he thought, rightly so, apparently, that people would believe, oh, this money coming from Donald Trump. No, it ain't. That's your money. They sending you back your money that you've already paid in tax. That's your money. You know what I'm saying? And so that whole stimulus thing, man, was a joke. And see, we have to begin to explain to and have conversations with each other around how this thing really works, around how taxes really work. When you get something from the government, that's not the government giving you money. That's your money that you done already paid in taxes. Right? Marvin Gaye said it best. Money, I make it. Before I see it, y'all take it. Because that's how taxes work. They take it straight out of your paycheck. Right? And so, yeah, she's right. Kanye West got money out of that Paycheck Protection Program, which he should not have gotten. I want to hear from you. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. 8065. There has been so much corruption, man, and you know, he's distracting you with these tweets and with these crazy rallies and with saying crazy stuff and attacking other politicians, and you know, it's chaos. And so it's hard to keep up with the hard and fast things that are happening, like him putting hundreds of judges on the federal courts, people who in many cases have never tried a case. How you a federal judge and you ain't never tried a case in court? Putting them on the court based on their ideology, based on whether or not they believe the same things he do, based on, you know, all kinds of nonsense that ain't got nothing to do with whether or not they can be a good judge. And we worry about what he tweeted and what check he signed and all of this nonsense that really has nothing to do with the policies that are being put in place, right? That's why we got to vote him out. You know, that's where I'm at. We have to vote him out. It's not just the racism, right? It's not just the insane Twitter rants. It's not just the lack of decorum. It's that and so much more. It's the Russians putting bounties on our troops, and this dude don't say nothing. It's 225,000 people dead from coronavirus, and you talking about, oh, we need to stop testing. You know, it's just all of it, man. You put all of that stuff together, it's like, yo, we are living in the twilight zone. I'm tired of living in the twilight zone. I want to live in Philadelphia again. I want to live in America again. Because, you know, and it's not to say that Philadelphia is perfect, America is perfect. It's not. But it should not be this. Let's go back to the phone lines. Talk to Aisha from the Northeast on line 1. Go ahead, Aisha.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First of all, my prayers and condolences goes to the Wallace family. Of course, I do not know what their how they handled it from the beginning, but I'm calling to comment as a mother experienced with a child suffering from mental health issues, and I've had to call them a lot to this light. Now, he's 30-something now. He has his own business. He's great now. But back when he was having these issues, my message to the WURD family is the first thing you should do is to contact CBH, which is Community Behavioral Health Services. They're great with mental. I mean, that's their thing. That's what they do. You contact them first. Then they make a record of your first contact and, take you through the steps down of what you should do. Even if the police have to be called, they will have a record that you contacted first, Community Behavioral Health, and that way they will have some type of record about it, in case the police don't do their job right. They are equipped to handle that, so you should contact them first. I don't have their number right off, but they're really easy to reach.
All right. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations, because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. To organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot. Put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then, put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location, and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
As a business owner, hiring and developing people from the community that your company serves is one of the best ways to show commitment to that community. Let WURD Radio help with Livelihood, our new initiative that connects Philadelphians with companies like yours. We'll feature your business, open employment opportunities, and resources to connect your company with talent and ensure that you reach your target demographic. To learn more about how Livelihood can help you build your team, visit wordworks.com. That's WURD works.com. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network. It's Wake Up with WURD, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on WURD Radio,
96.1 FM,
and 900 AM WURD.
It's getting serious on this track, fam.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with WURD. We're joined by Linda Garcia. She's the Policing Campaign Director for the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. She joins us to talk about the passing of a ban on police use of lethal munitions in response to demonstrations here in Philadelphia and beyond. Linda Garcia, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yep. It's a pleasure. So, what is the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights? What is that?
Yeah, we are the nation's oldest civil rights organization, founded in 1950, with a membership of more than 220 civil rights organizations across the country. And we, our organization helped coordinate the March on Washington, and has been behind every major piece of federal civil rights legislation, from the Civil Rights Act to the Voting Rights Act, and continuing.
Yeah, Linda, it's hard to hear you right now.
Oh, sorry. Is this
Yep.
a little bit better?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
sorry.
go ahead.
Did you get?
Mhm.
Yeah. Did you guys get what the Civil Rights Act, or I'm sorry, what the leadership conference does? Or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So we're a civil rights coalition based here out of D.C., the oldest civil rights coalition in the country.
Mm-hmm. And so, why was this bill so important to your organization around the less lethal munitions? What are less lethal munitions, and why was it important to have this legislation?
Sure. Less lethal munitions are basically there's weapons that are not fatal, right? And so they're used in places like guns and firearms, but still have really terrible effects and outcomes like we saw in Philadelphia over the summer in response to the protests. And the leadership conference works to, reimagine public safety, and we advocate for best practices to reduce harm, but really with an eye of shrinking the criminal legal system and policing in the lives of Black and brown people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, could this serve as a model for some things that might happen across the country?
Sure. I mean, look, we are seeing across the country that jurisdictions and police departments are moving in this direction, have introduced similar bills because folks have just seen that, the response that we saw to protests in many places was disproportionate to the harm and, just an affront to folks' First Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so in terms of moving forward, what are some of the other things that your organization is pushing in terms of people's civil and human rights?
Sure. I mean, we looked to a whole suite of policies. I would say that changing the use of force standard in this country so that police can only use force when necessary and requiring that they use de-escalation techniques before resorting to force is a priority. Demilitarizing police, which is something that this bill actually goes to, is also a priority. Experience has shown that when police use a militarized response, it just escalates tensions, it fuels anger, and it exacerbates distrust of police. And also looking at increasing community-based services so that we can start looking to non-police responses to situations much like folks in mental health crisis, like Mr. Wallace Jr. was. Mm-hmm.
How can people get in touch with your organization?
Sure. Folks can reach out to us. We have an email address. It is policing@civilrights.org. And please email. We offer resources and point folks to other resources as they're taking on, and dealing with these important issues of addressing what public safety should look like.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's Linda Garcia. She's the Policing Campaign Director for the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on WURD.
Real pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. So we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning's show, 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in. You can also hit us on Facebook at ForWord. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are in these various things we are talking about on this morning's show. So I'm going to check some of what you guys are saying this morning on Facebook. Let's see. We've got a couple of comments there, including this one from Donna Torrance, who says, I agree with Maurice. Let me correct as far as the money goes, not how the family feels about their loss. So that's what Donna Torrance had to say. Winona Hayes Poole says this, how is it that you get a little money, fame, and all of a sudden you forget where you came from? It's selfish and shows a lack of empathy, shame on these black rappers. Zen Motley says police reform has to start in the home before they become police. Those police did not know their public. So that's what she had to say. Melissa Brunson says this, Solomon, can you please explain how police qualified immunity can be abolished and their unions charged civilly in these tragic situations? Well, qualified immunity is really something that was put in place by the courts. And I'll try to explain it the best I can as a layman and not a lawyer. What it says is that if you are working, say, if you're working for the government, if you do something in the course of your employment and there is not a precedent for somebody else being sued in almost the exact same situation personally, then you are not personally liable. The government that employs you is liable. The way that they've handled it in some other places, I think Colorado is one of the places where they've done that, is that they've handled it legislatively through their legislature putting laws in place that say, nah, we're not doing qualified immunity here. So it's something that was put in place by judges, and it's something that can be handled legislatively at the state level. So that's my best layman's explanation of that. If there's a lawyer who can call and give a better explanation, I invite you to do that. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. Let's go to Glenn from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Glenn.
Good morning, Solomon, and to the listening audience. I think when we come down to policing, that you have to get the local government to acknowledge that there is a systemic racism problem.
Yeah,
until that is addressed, until you look at, people of color as the same as though of different colors, the situation is never going to change. But they're going to police us differently than they police themselves. We all know that. I mean, we all know that elephant's in the room, but let's address it and really get it out of the room, and let's call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That we're policed differently. Like you said, if you look at the traffic stops, we're pulled over more than anyone else. You know what I'm saying? And just the incident, like you said, there was a tragic situation. We all know that.
Right.
And for them to say, well, they wasn't issued tasers. Why wouldn't they issue tasers? I see some police officers in Philadelphia with tasers and some not. Yeah. So when do they get them and when they don't get them? Because and nobody even ever said anything about pepper spray or the mace their issue, because they could have used the mace before they went to that though. In other words, did they exhaust all their resources before they went to that lethal weapon? Mace is not a lethal weapon, and we know that the stun gun is not a lethal weapon. But nobody even brought up about, well, what about the pepper spray or the mace they get? I just want to, you could talk about that. I'm gonna hang up. Thank you.
I hear you, man, and I wanna thank you for your call this morning, and you're right. I mean, now the one thing that I have been told is that a knife is considered a deadly weapon, and certainly you can kill somebody with a knife if you get close enough to them and are determined to do that. But in a situation where you have other people around, and your use of force is supposed to be about protecting not only your own life but the lives of those who are in the area. it just seemed reckless to me. It seemed reckless, and the firing of so many shots. And it's so interesting, man, that the first thing that the young brother says who shot the video or is in proximity to the person who shot the video is, you ain't had to give him that many shots. Because everybody on the block knew this is somebody who's suffering from mental illness, right? The mother's saying it, the bystanders are saying it, and they shoot 14 bullets. It was reckless, right? For them to do that, especially with so many people in the immediate area. You could have hit anybody, man. You had people who had to actually move out of the way, according to witnesses who were there. And so there's a lot that has to be explained about what happened there. And one of those things, to our caller's point, is, okay, why didn't you use pepper spray? Did you have that? You understand? You know, saying that they didn't have any alternative other than to shoot him, to me, it just doesn't wash. So we're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue the show right here on WURD.
This year has been unprecedented. From the COVID pandemic to nationwide protests addressing systemic racism and calling for criminal justice reform. For weeks, we've been reminding you to make your voice heard in this election, and now is the time to act. Voting is how we empower our communities, and this election day, we can make things happen for us instead of letting things happen to us. So use your power and make your plan to vote today. If you signed up to vote by mail, don't wait. Complete your ballot, put it in the small envelope and seal it. Then put it in a larger envelope and seal that too. Sign and date it. Then drop off your ballot at your county election office today. If you have not signed up to vote by mail, go to the polls on Tuesday, November 3rd. Make sure to confirm your polling location, and don't forget to wear a mask. Polling places are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. To find your county election office or polling location, visit votespa.com. Take your power to the polls and vote. Paid for by Power Interfaith.
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
The pandemic is not only putting everyone's health at risk, it's also impacted our jobs and retirement security. And it's disproportionately affecting African Americans, especially those 50 plus. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. If you haven't voted yet, now is the time to learn about your voting options and cast your ballot. We're working to make sure you can vote safely, whether you choose to vote from home or in person. And if you choose to vote by mail, make sure you return your ballot using both envelopes. Your ballot goes in the smaller envelope for secrecy, and that goes into the larger envelope for mailing. Also, don't forget to sign the voter declaration on the back. Your voice matters. Make sure it's heard. Go to aarp.org/PA votes to learn about your voting options and how to vote safely this election. Visit aarp.org/PA votes today. Paid for by AARP.
Hi, I'm Tobias Harris. We've been hashtagging and protesting, but this November, we can show the system what time it is. We've been victims of police brutality, stop and frisk, and other forms of harassment. On November 3rd, we take our power back. This year, everything changes. We can vote to end stop and frisk and put police accountability in the hands of the people. It's on us. On November 3rd, vote to make our communities safer and our systems fairer.
Paid for by Black Vote PA, which is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.theelectionisnow.com.
I'm Philadelphia City Councilwoman Sherelle Parker, and this message is for the sisters. We wear a lot of hats. We're mothers, aunties and daughters, teachers, community leaders, and CEOs. We rise to the occasion every day. We're good at it too. And now, more than ever, we need to do what we do. Show up and show out this election. to organize, to make those calls and get out the vote, to stand up for our families and our communities, just like you do every single day, every single time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are counting on us, and we know that we can count on them.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM, 96.1 FM, WURD. I'm going to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And we are, of course, taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Laura from North Philly is on line 2. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi, how you doing today?
Good, and you?
The thing that would bring my attention to the shooting is, with everything that's going on in the city, you know, the looting and everything on, why the police are not having a checklist even before they go to a call. I would think in today, not considering what happened before, but in today what's going on, that they would have an exact checklist for the situation, like a review of why they're going to the scene. Make sure they have the proper equipment. Like if anything going on, they should have all in check because of the situation that's going on. You know what I mean? It's like you take a test. You took the test the first time, you failed. You prepare for the next time. This is no reason. They can give no excuses for this. They wasn't prepared for a situation such as this, and they had no reason not to be prepared. This is a very sensitive time. And they did something what I consider, like I can't even fathom them doing anything correct because they didn't come out prepared. And they are here to protect us. So if they didn't protect us properly, if they're here to protect us, then they should be reviewed, and maybe the police department should be reviewed. The people that are in the police department have been retested, reevaluated, background checked. Because I actually was going to be a police officer, and I took another job. But it takes a long time to become a police officer, so that I don't think they're really doing the proper steps. Or whoever, they got a buddy giving them high five when they go through the testing or something. But they apparently are not doing something correctly, because 14 shots is a lot of shooting for one person.
Mm-hmm. All right, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio, and I want to thank you for sharing your opinion this morning. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. Let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning show. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. That is the number that you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can, of course, also weigh in on Facebook at FORWORD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD, and let us know where you are in these various things we're talking about on this morning's show. We got a couple of comments on Facebook, and one of them is from Raphael Suleiman, who says, yes, that is a good point. I do believe that there's a great deal of fiscal mismanagement of the city budget. Philly has a reputation for corruption. I believe the money for tasers was diverted to police overtime pay too. The lack of tasers is a public safety concern now. So that's what he has to say. We want to know what you have to say. So give us a call and let us know. So we're talking about, of course, a number of things on this morning show, as we always do, including I'm wondering what happened to hip hop. So I came up on hip hop. Hip hop was really an invention, a development of my generation. And so as I've watched it change, right, into something else in terms of much of the messaging, not all of it, but much of it, I've been saddened by that, right? And I'm wondering how you go from Chuck D and Public Enemy saying fight the power to Lil Wayne saying vote for Trump. I'm trying to figure that out. And maybe y'all can help me. I'm trying to figure out how you go from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and the Message, right, to 50 Cent saying, well, you know, my pockets is going to mess up my pockets, so I'm voting for Trump. Before his ex-girlfriend, Chelsea Handler, who happens not to be from our community, called him out, and then he changed his mind. How do we get to this? That's what I want to know. Maybe y'all can help me. 215-634-8065. That is 215-634-8065. Of course, Ice Cube, they used him because he sent his stuff to both campaigns, and then the Trump campaign puts out a message and says, oh, thanks, Ice Cube, for working with us. And he like, what? Working with y'all? No, I'm just trying to get some stuff done. I sent it to y'all and to them. What do you mean working with y'all? But that's the stuff that they do. And you know, I'm just trying to figure out how we got to that point. Also, story number 2, Breonna Taylor, more stories coming out from this grand jury. 2 grand jurors who heard the Kentucky Attorney General's presentation of the Breonna Taylor case say prosecutors were dismissive of their questions and that there was an uproar when jurors realized Louisville police officers would not be charged with Taylor's death. And of course, story number 3, the Walter Wallace story, which continues to grow. We now know, based on the Inquirer's reporting, that the 911 call said that there was a 27-year-old male assaulting an elderly female and male at that house, right? We also know that in that 911 call, that in the dispatch recording, that there was no mention of the earlier 2 police interactions at that house that happened that day. There was also no mention of the mental health issues that were happening at that house. We know, based on the family seeing the body cam footage from the 2 officers, that one of the officers said shoot him, and that's when between the 2 of them they let off 14 shots, right? And we also know that the family has said that they don't want to see the officers charged with murder. They hold the city responsible because the officers did not have the proper equipment or training to deal with that case. So I want to know what you guys think. Give me a call. 215-634-8065 is the number. Let's go to Sister Carol from North Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Sister Carol.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, and you?
I'm great. What I wanted to say was, what I think our community needs to be aware of, and when you call 911, you have the 302 of them. They won't send the police out. They will not. I had to do it on several occasions for mental illness. When you have a mental illness person, you don't call 911 for the police. When you call 911, still dial 911, but you say 302, they will not send the police. They will send an ambulance. They won't send the cops. And then the ambulance will come, and they know when you say 302 that it's a mental thing, and they will come equipped. Then you won't have to worry about guns. And our community has not been made aware of this. And I'm standing up here in but yes.
All right. I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go to Joseph from Nicetown on line 2. Go ahead, Joseph.
Yes, good morning, Solomon. I'm glad to hear that you and Kuwaisa are recovering, and my prayers are with you. I just want to make several quick points. First of all, remember Elijah McCain from Colorado, where the cops put on his spit hood and he eventually ended up dead after.
That wasn't Elijah McCain in Colorado. That was another guy, I think, somewhere in Massachusetts where they put on a spit hood. Elijah McCain, they knelt on him in Colorado and killed him. But yes, I do remember Elijah McCain.
Okay. Also, I want to bring up the point of Amber Guire and killing her neighbor, thinking it was her apartment, and the brother,
Amber Geiger,
both in John's family, forgiving, or his brother anyway, forgiving her for doing it, and the outrage that was experienced by many people in the community because of that. Lastly, I just want to mention.
So what about it? What about
what
Amber
about
Geiger
it?
and the brother saying?
Feeling, a number of us, at least I'm feeling the same way about the family, automatically saying we don't want the police officers to be prosecuted.
They didn't say that. They said they didn't want them to be charged with murder. Okay. I think that's different. That's two different things. So they could be charged with any number of things and not be charged with murder.
Right. Well, hopefully so. But also, too, lastly, I guess, tasers aren't really a cure-all, because would you like to see those same officers back on the streets, even though they had tasers, populating the police force of Philadelphia? Would that really do anything? Would they have taken the same action even if they had tasers?
Yeah, I don't know. And I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Lynn from Darby on line 3. Go ahead, Lynn.
Hey, Solomon and Word family. I'll make it real quick. You know,
okay.
Thank you for your shows on mental illness, because I have a lot of friends and family, and people, don't be ashamed. Seek the help that you need for the mental illness, for the problems you have in your family with people who have mental illness. And Solomon, them rappers is money over morals. I've been losing a lot of friends because of this election, voting for Trump, because they want to keep their money. They got baby mama drama. They got to pay the child support and all that. So they putting money over morals, and it's a doggone shame. Everybody go out here, and you know who to vote for. And y'all have a blessed weekend.
All right. I want to thank you for your call. Carrie from Illinois is on line 4. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is about the hip-hop question.
Yes.
The thing is that they don't understand their history, Solomon, and that's the problem with 50 Cent and all of them. They just think it's about the glitz and glamour of Trump, and Trump is just a clown. They just don't. They need to know their history, and they need to read. Those are, from what I see from them young men, they need to go get a book, read.
I hear you, man, and I think you're absolutely right. And I want to thank everybody who joined us on today's show, including our guests, Akbar Hassan, and, of course, Linda Garcia, and Annette, for producer Jordan Booth, sitting in for Kawesa, and everyone here at WURD Radio. I am your host, Solomon Jones, saying stay tuned for The Source with Tiffany Bacon. Tune in Monday at 7 for more. Wake up with Word. Peace.